Welcome back to Board Games Christians Can Play. Today I am featuring a very beloved game. It's called Windmill Valley. It is newly released in 2024. I've played it probably a good dozen times. I've played it 2, 3, and 4 player, and all of them is just wonderful to play with. I don't find it time consuming or getting bogged down when you play with 4 players. It's just all so exciting. So to back up a bit, the theme of this game is the late 19th century, and essentially you are a tulip bulb developer, trader, planter. You want to grow the best tulips. And in the Netherlands at this time, there was 9,000 windmills. So the theme is also getting your windmills placed out onto the board, and you get actions for that. And you have a sweet windmill of your own. And this is how you determine what actions you are going to take. You spin your windmill. It's just so clever. So let's run over each of the actions a little bit. Firstly, just because I'm sitting by this side of the board, you can raise the water level. And so that, it costs guilder. Oh yeah, the currency is in guilder, and it's on the side of your board. And this is your tulip patch, and you store tulips below your patch. And then you have to plant tulips into your patch. And of course you gain more victory points the more tulips that you plant. However, okay, so there's the water level. You can increase the water level. It costs guilder, but it gains you victory points. And it also raises the water level for the flow of the water, is my understanding. And so this increases the water. Each turn, the player can choose to remain on this, or they can choose to knock it back, and then you don't have to pay any guilder. But if you choose to stay there, then you advance the water level 1 up. So there is some strategy. However, if you have your marker, the marker here, then that means you have to spin your wheel twice, 2 slots. So you won't get to take the action of the 1 slot, which makes the game go by faster and a bit more frantic. So the people I have played with generally do not mess around with the water level because we just like the game to last as long as possible. But anyways, if you need money, this is a good way to get it, is raising and lowering the water levels. After that is the foreign trade market. Here's a ship, and you can ship your tulips, I guess. So you take a tulip from your supply and you put it on the actions that you want to take. So I will put it here, and so I get to take both actions beside each tulip. So I will get 2 tulips of my choice and a wheel enhancement. And that tulip stays there. And then the next person that comes to the foreign trade, they're not allowed to put a black tulip on here. It has to be a tulip of another color. And then they can take those 2 actions. However, if another player comes around and they're not interested in any of these actions on the foreign trade, then they can remove all their tulips, all these tulips that are on there, and put them into their personal supply. So there's different strategy on what you want to do. I guess victory points is the ultimate way to win the game, whoever has the most victory points. So that's what you're striving towards. Now we go on to our hired helpers. These are the contract cards. You can either slide it into your board. The top part is your helpers. So for this one is every time you visit the foreign trade, you get a tool. You get some tools for that, and that is beneficial in helping to advance your wheel turning. So you slip that one into the top of your board, and whenever you go to the foreign trade, then you get to perform that action. So that's kind of nice. Or else there's contracts on the bottom of the board, and you slip it down underneath your board, and these are the victory points that you get at the end of the game. if you fulfill the contract. So you have to decide. You have 3 options here on which contract or hired helper you want to hire. If you don't like any of them, you can pay 1 guilder and wipe them all out and replace and see what you get then. The next section is called wheel enhancements. Now these brown ones, you get 4 options. The 2 brown options are free and they're pretty good, but of course they're not as good as the ones that you have to pay guilder for. This common or enhanced one is 1 guilder, and then this one is made of steel and it costs 2 guilder, but it's very powerful. And so you would take this and you slip it into whichever slot, whichever side of your windmill you can put it on to where you think it will help you. So this particular one, I would get a tulip of any choice, of any color that I want. And it has a plus sign on there. So I can take the actions of both sides of my windmill. So I can get a tulip and then I can visit the market. But we haven't talked about that one yet. But anyways, so yeah, you can take both sides actions. So that's very, very powerful. And you can also pay a guilder to wipe out all of these if you don't like them. Lastly, but not really, this is the end of the year. There's 4 years, 4 rounds to this game, and then you're done. So when your windmill reaches the end, a complete cycle, it matches up with the red spoke, matches up to the red arrow. That means you've completed 1 year. And so you move your marker, and at the year's end you gain a tulip, and then you get either 3 guilder or 2 guilder depending on who gets there first. So I'll take the 3 guilder, so I mark it 3 up on my board, and then you cover that so the next person knows they don't get 3 guilder. And so when both players when one player reaches the end of the 4th year, that triggers the end of the game. And everybody else gets 1 more turn just to complete the turns. And then everybody gets 1 last turn, and then that's it. And yeah, we'll say enough about that. That's the end of the game triggering. Now, beside that is the Queen's Wish. This particular one says if you get 6 tools, then you can claim either 10 victory points, 6 or 3. Whoever gets there first puts their marker there, and they claim that spot. So it's just another objective to work towards in the game. The next section is the marketplace, and this is a pretty powerful place. You usually get to move your markers twice, and it usually costs 2 guilder to do that. But this is where you get tulips. So I moved here, because there is 3 markers in this area, I would take 3 black tulips. Or I have the option of planting 3 yellow tulips or 3 lavender tulips. And after doing that action, then I would go down here to the next section. And here I can either, because there's only 2 markers here, I can either take 2 yellow or 2 lavender, or plant 2 white or 2 red. And so that helps you get tulips into your patch. So visiting the market is very valuable. Now, lastly is playing your windmills into the Windmill Valley. So you always have to connect your windmill to the market when you place. So this first one, this is a free one, and it does connect to the market with this pathway, and they would get a white tulip and a tool. Say the next person comes along, they would pay, if they want to go here, they would pay 2 guilder to place their windmill here. But the way to the market is through this other player's windmill. So this other player would get 1 victory point because of the red one putting hers here. Or she could start her own path to the market and place it somewhere else. But it always has to connect to the market. She couldn't just play it here because there's no windmills to get her to the market. So you kind of have to build by the market and then expand out. And you take the action. So this one you get 1 guilder and 1 yellow tulip. So whenever you get victory points, you move your marker along the board. And so it's kind of a race to get around the board. Whenever you come across planting a tulip action, you place your tulips into the leftmost column and work your way right. And the goal is to try and get the same colored tulips in each row and different colored tulips in each column. That's how you'll get the most points. And whenever you cover a symbol, you get that action immediately. So if I put one here, I would get 1 guilder immediately. So it's kind of strategic to know which row to start and which tulip to put in which row. They all have their advantages. And you always have to keep in mind your contracts along the top, because a lot of people don't pay attention to them. And they can really help you. Whenever you slide a contract in, you get the victory point where it's at. So this one earns you 3 victory points. And if you hire this helper, you get 6 victory points. But yeah, throughout your game, whenever you take these actions, be sure and look at your helpers to make sure they're really helping you. And everybody gets one at the beginning of the game. It's called a common helper. That starts you off. I find that guilder are always scarce in this game. You're always striving to get money so that you can do these actions. So anyways, I recommend this game for Christians because you want to know why? God likes people who are hard workers. There's a number of proverbs that expound on the benefits of being a hard worker. One of them being, all hard work brings profit, but idle talk only leads to poverty. God wants us to be industrious for the betterment of society so that we are not a burden to society, but that we can give. And so this game just focuses on that, focuses on getting tulips, planting them, selling, buying, trading, upgrading. I really love this game. Let me know what you think about it, if you've played it, if you want to get it. I thank you so much for watching, and if you want to see an actual playthrough of this game my friend and I do, you can click here. Until next time, enjoy your games and God bless you.